OSHO on meditation. No God, only self and endless freedom. Like an empty sky with no boundaries, it remains ever profound and pure. When one seeks to know it, one cannot see it, cannot grasp it, yet one can never lose it. In the very inability to possess it, it is possessed. When you are silent, it speaks. When you speak, it is silent. The great gate is wide open for charity, and no crowd can obstruct its path. No God, only self, the revolutionary spirit of Zen. First of all, a few foundational points. Zen is not theology. It is a religion, and a religion without theology is a unique phenomenon. Every other religion exists around the concept of God. They have their own theologies. They place God at the center, not humanity. God is the ultimate purpose. But not so with Zen. In Zen, humanity is the purpose. Humanity is the end in itself. God is not something imposed upon mankind from without, but something hidden within humanity. Humans carry God within themselves as a latent potential. Therefore, there is no concept of God in Zen. If you wish, you might even say that it is not truly a religion, because how can there be a religion without the concept of God? Certainly those who have been raised as Christians, Muslims, Hindus, or Jews cannot easily conceive what kind of religion Zen is. Without God, it might seem atheistic, but it is not. It is theistic to its very core, yet without a God as an external entity. This is the first fundamental point to understand. When it sinks deeply into you, everything becomes clear and pure. Zen teaches that God is not outside of religion. He is within. He is not over there, but here. In truth, for Zen there is no over there at all. Everything is right here. And God is not at another time. God is now, and there is no other time, no other space, no other moment exists. This very moment is all there is. In this moment, the totality of existence converges. In this moment, everything is at hand. If you cannot see it, that does not mean it is not available. It simply implies that you do not have the vision to perceive it. God is not meant to be sought. You simply need to open your eyes. God is already the context in which you live. Prayer, then, is irrelevant in Zen. Pray to whom? There is no God sitting somewhere in heaven controlling life or existence. There is no one in charge. Life moves in its own harmonious way. No external authority is issuing commandments over it. When there is an outside authority, it creates a kind of slavery. Christians become enslaved, and the same happens for Muslims. When God is there to command, at best you become a servant or a slave. You lose your intrinsic value. Not so with Zen. Zen grants you immense self-worth. There is no authority anywhere. Freedom is absolute and supreme. Had Friedrich Nietzsche known anything about Zen, he might have become a mystic instead of descending into madness. He inadvertently encountered a great truth. He proclaimed, "There is no God, God is dead, and man is free." Yet fundamentally, he brought into the world of Jews and Christians a set of ideas that were very narrow, severely limited by their own notions. He happened upon the great truth by chance. There is no God. God is dead, therefore man is free. He accidentally grasped the value of freedom, but it was overwhelming. In his mind, it proved to be too much. He went mad. He lost his composure. Had he known anything like Zen, he might well have become a mystic, without the need to go insane. One can be deeply religious without having a God. In fact, how can one be religious in the presence of God? That is the perplexing question posed by Zen. How can human beings be religious with God present? For God would shatter your freedom. God would dominate you. You can look into the Old Testament where God declares, "I am a jealous God and I will not tolerate any other gods. Those who are not with me are against me, and I am a wrathful and cruel God. I will punish you and you will be consigned to eternal fire in hell." How can a human being be religious with such a God? How can you be free and flourish? Without freedom, nothing can blossom. How can you achieve your fullest expression when a God restricts you, condemns you, forces you in this way and that, manipulates you? Zen teaches that with God, man remains a slave. With God, man remains a worshiper. With God, man continues to live in fear. In fear, how can you blossom? You retract, you wither, you begin to die. Zen asserts that without God there is boundless freedom, there is no authority in existence. Consequently, great responsibility arises. Look at it this way. If you are dominated by someone, you cannot truly feel responsible. Authority inherently breeds irresponsibility. Authority creates resistance. Authority incites reaction and rebellion within you. You might even feel the urge to kill God. This is what Nietzsche implied when he said, "God is dead." Not that God committed suicide, but that he was murdered. He had to be murdered. For Nietzsche, there was no possibility for freedom, only freedom without him. Yet Nietzsche became terribly afraid of himself. To live without God demands enormous courage, a great capacity for meditation, and profound awareness, qualities he did not possess. That is why I say he stumbled upon this truth by chance. It was not a deliberate discovery. He happened upon it in the darkness. With Zen, however, it is a conscious discovery. It is the established truth. There is no God. Human beings are responsible for themselves and for the world in which they live. If there is suffering, you are responsible. There is no one else to look to. You cannot pass off your responsibility onto another. If the world is ugly and painful, it is our responsibility, no one else's. If we remain immature, we cannot blame others. We must take responsibility. Without God, you are thrown back upon yourself. Maturity ensues. You must grow up. You must take hold of your own life. You must seize control in your own hands. Now, you are the master. You must be more alert and aware because whatever happens, you are the one responsible. This brings with it a great burden of responsibility. People begin to become more vigilant, more conscious. They start living in an entirely different way. They become more observant. They become witnesses. And when there is no other side, the other side is within you, not external to you. In Christianity, the other side is external. In Zen, the other side is internal. Therefore, the issue is not to look up at the sky and pray. It is meaningless, for you are praying to an empty sky. The sky is, in your consciousness, far below you. Someone might be praying to a tree. Many Hindus go and pray to a tree. Many Hindus approach the Ganges and pray to the river. Many pray to stone statues. Many pray to the sky or to abstract ideas. Those who are higher end up praying to something lower. Thus, prayer becomes meaningless. Zen teaches only Zen. It does not require you to bow down before anyone. Abandon that old habit of servitude. All that is needed is for you to become quiet and silent and to go within to find your own center. That very center is also the center of existence itself. When you have reached the innermost core of yourself, you have reached the innermost core of existence. That is what God is in Zen, but they do not call it God. The fortunate thing is, they do not call it God. Thus, the first point to remember is that in Zen, there is no theology. It is a religion, and that moreover, with an utterly distinct difference. It is not a religion like Islam. In Islam, there are three foundational things: one God, one holy book, and one prophet. Zen has no God, no book, no prophet. The entirety of existence is the prophecy of God. The entirety of existence is His message. And remember, God is no longer separated from this message. The message itself is sacred. There is no messenger. All that meaningless trappings have been completely cast aside by Zen. Theology arises with the need for a book. It requires a Bible. It requires a sacred Quran. It necessitates a book that pretends to be holy, a book that insists it is unique. No other book is like it. This is divinely given, the gospel. Discovering freedom beyond God concepts. Zen teaches that everything is sacred. So how can anything be special? Everything is special. Nothing is unspecial, and therefore nothing can stand apart as uniquely exceptional. Every leaf on every tree and every stone on every beach is unique, singular, and sacred. It is not that the Quran is sacred, nor is the Bible inherently sacred. When a lover writes a letter to the beloved, that letter is sacred. Zen infuses even ordinary life with sanctity. A Zen master named Bokoju would often say, "How marvelous, how mysterious, I carry oil, I draw water." How marvelous, how mysterious. Carrying oil, drawing water from the well, and he would exclaim, "How mysterious." This is the spirit of Zen. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. It turns the mundane into the sacred. It erases the boundary between the world and what is sacred. That is why I say it is not theology. It is pure religion. Theology contaminates religion. In all other faiths, whether Muslim, Christian, or Hindu, religion revolves around the concept of God. Each has its own theology. They put God at the center, not humanity. God becomes the purpose, but not in Zen. In Zen, humanity is the goal in itself. God is not something imposed from above, but is hidden within humanity. Humans carry the potential of God within themselves. Zen therefore dispenses with the concept of God. If you prefer, you might even say that Zen is not a religion in the conventional sense. How can there be a religion without a concept of God? Surely, those raised in Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, or Judaism would find it hard to imagine Zen as a religion. Without God, one might think it is atheistic, but it is not. It is theistic to its core, yet without an external deity. This is the first foundational point that must sink deeply into you so that everything becomes clear and pure. Zen teaches that God is not out there, separate from religion. He is within. There is no over there for Zen. Everything is here. God is not somewhere else in another time. God is now, and no other time exists. No other space, no alternate moment exists. This very moment is all there is. In this moment, the totality of existence converges. Everything is available. If you cannot perceive it, that does not mean it is absent. It simply means your vision is clouded. God is not something to be hunted down. You simply have to open your eyes. God is already the context of all that is. Zen also teaches that everything is sacred. How then can anything be special in the sense of being exceptional? Everything is special because nothing is excluded from sanctity. Not a single thing is ordinary. Every object, every phenomenon is imbued with uniqueness. The sacred does not reside solely in holy scriptures like the Quran or the Bible. For instance, when a lover writes to the beloved, that letter becomes sacred. Zen confers a sense of holiness upon ordinary life. Consider the example of Bokoju, the Zen master who would remark, "How marvelous, how mysterious. I carry oil, I draw water." As he drew water from the well, he would comment, "How mysterious." This simple act was a spiritual act in Zen. It transformed the everyday into the extraordinary. It dissolved the division between the mundane and the sacred. This is why I insist it is not about theology. Theology, with its endless debates, pollutes religion. While religions may appear similar when discussing faith, they diverge greatly when it comes to theology. Different faiths have their own theological disputes. People have long struggled over theological issues. Religion may be one, but theology is manifold. Theology implies a philosophy and a logic about God. It becomes utterly meaningless because there is no way to prove God nor to disprove Him. Arguments become irrelevant. Yes, one might have an experience that is ineffable, yet it cannot be proven. And that is precisely what theology attempts to do, engaging in endless, pointless logical quibbles. When observed from a distance, such theological debates are laughable. In the Middle Ages, Christian theologians fretted over matters that seem absurd to us now. For example, pondering how an angel might stand on the head of a pin. Countless treatises were written on such topics. Even the whimsical Mullah Nasruddin, who owned 2 blue parrots, once invited a veterinarian exclaiming, "I worry about my birds. They haven't pooped all week." The doctor peered into the cage and asked, "Do you always line this cage with a map of the earth?" "No," replied Mullah Nasruddin. "I left that from last Saturday when I went out to buy a newspaper." "That explains it," the doctor remarked. Blue parrots are so sensitive. They withhold their excrement because they imagine that this planet has already received every bit of waste it can contain. Theology, then, is pure nonsense, and it is precisely because of theology that religion becomes poisoned. The true religious person does not cling to theology. One might have profound experiences, insight, or brilliance, but one does not need theology. Yet theology has served as a tool for scholars and intellectuals, a major preoccupation for monks, popes, and Shankaracharyas. Their entire business depends on it. Zen cuts straight to the root, undermining the very livelihood of these religious figures. And that is one of the worst enterprises in the world, for it is built upon immense deception. Monks preach without truly understanding, and theologians, though often ignorant, weave their theories so artfully that their ignorance is masked by scriptures and cleverly crafted concepts. Theology is not a help to humanity, but it has, unfortunately, aided many. The monks have exploited humanity in the name of these absurd theories. Consider an anecdote from the world of psychiatry. 2 psychiatrists met in a bustling restaurant. One proudly recounted that he had treated a very interesting case of schizophrenia. The other dismissed it. What is so interesting about that? Cases of split personalities are fairly ordinary. This case is interesting, replied his colleague, because both personalities paid. Such is the life of theologians. Theology is political. It divides people, and if you can divide people, you can rule them. In contrast, Zen sees humanity without division. It perceives the whole. That is why I maintain that Zen is the religion of the future. Humanity is gradually maturing toward the awareness that theology will eventually be cast aside, and religion will be embraced purely as an experience. In Japan, there is even a special term for this, kanomama or sanomama, meaning just as it is in existence. This very as it is of life is God, not God as an external entity, but the sacred presence in every tree, every stone, every man, every woman, every child. This presence is a phenomenon that defies definition. You can dissolve into it, merge with it, and savor it. How marvelous, how mysterious. Yet you cannot define it, pinpoint it with logic, or capture it in clear concepts. Concepts, after all, kill the essence. If you reduce it to a mere concept, the very here-ness disappears. It becomes merely a construct of the mind. The word God is not God. The concept of God is not God. Similarly, the concept of love is not love, and the word food is not food. Zen simply reminds us, Remember that the menu is not the food, and do not begin to feast on the menu. For centuries, people have done nothing but consume the menu, and naturally, if they do not partake fully, if they do not let life flow, they become listless, stagnant, and lifeless. They have forgotten the essence of nourishment. God must be eaten, savored, and lived without argument. The process of returning to the essence is theology, and that return circles endlessly, never arriving at what is real. It is a vicious cycle. Logic itself becomes a circular loop. The premise contains the conclusion, and the conclusion reiterates the premise. It is like a seed from which a tree grows, which then produces many seeds that again contain the tree. It is a vicious circle, seed, tree, seed, that continues endlessly, much like the eternal cycle of egg, chicken, egg, chicken. Breaking this cycle is what Zen is all about, not being trapped in a constant flow of words and concepts that fall short of the essence of existence. There is a story of a great Zen master named Nanin, who was once chopping wood in the forest. A university professor came by and naturally assumed that the woodcutter must know where Nanin lived on the mountain, so he inquired. Holding his axe, the woodcutter replied, "I must pay a great deal for it." The professor, however, did not ask about the axe. He was interested in where Nanin resided, whether he was in the temple if the professor visited. Then Nanin raised his axe and said, "Look, I must pay a great deal for it." The professor felt confused, and before he could retreat, Nanin moved even closer and placed the axe upon the professor's head. The professor began to tremble, and Nanin remarked, "It is truly sharp." Terrified, the professor fled. Later, when he reached the temple, he learned that the woodcutter was none other than Nanin himself. The professor then asked, "Is he mad?" A disciple answered, "No." He was asked if Nanin was inside, and he said yes. He pointed to his own here-ness. In that moment, he became the woodcutter. With the axe in hand, he was completely absorbed by its sharpness. He declared, "I am within," by being wholly present in that moment. In doing so, he missed the obvious. He revealed to you the nature of Zen. Zen transcends concepts and intellect. It is the only religion that preaches immediacy, moving from one moment to the next, fully present in the now, not in the past, not in the future. And yet, for centuries, people have lived ensnared by theology. Such theological constructs keep them perpetually like children, never allowing them to mature. You cannot truly mature if you are confined within the narrow bounds of theology, whether as a Christian, Hindu, Muslim, or even as a Buddhist. You simply do not have the space to grow. You are confined in a narrow prison of thought. Meditation, imagination, and the liberation from idols. A young priest withdrew $100,000 from the church safe and lost it in the stock market. Then his beautiful wife left him. In despair, he went to the river and, on the verge of jumping from a bridge, was stopped by a woman dressed in a black cloak, her face lined with wrinkles and her hair disheveled with auburn streaks. "Don't jump," she cooed. "I am a sorceress, and I will grant you 3 wishes if you do something for me." "I can't help you," he replied. "Don't be foolish," she insisted. "Alakazam. The money returns to the church crypt. Alakazam. Your wife is waiting at home with love in her heart. Alakazam. Now you have $200,000 in the bank." "That is so marvelous," the priest stammered. "What can I do for you?" "Spend tonight with me," she said. The thought of sleeping with an old, shabby sorceress was utterly repulsive, but it was, in a strange way, deserved. So they secluded themselves in a nearby hotel. By morning, the unpleasant ordeal was over. As the priest dressed to go home, a bat in the bed squeaked, "Tell me, sir, "How old are you?" "I'm 42, he replied. "Why?" the bat asked. "Because you're too young to believe in sorcery." That is what happened. If you can believe in God, you might as well believe in sorcery. They come as one package. If you can believe in one absurdity, you can believe in every absurdity. But you never mature. You remain a minor. Meditation implies maturity. It means letting go of all desires and accepting the given circumstances. Do not bring your dreams into reality. Cleanse your eyes completely of illusions so that you can see what reality truly is. This here-ness is called konomama or sanomama, meaning the intrinsic here-ness of anything, its very inherent reality. Every ideology prevents you from truly seeing. Ideologies are like blindfolds obstructing your vision. Christians cannot see. Hindus cannot see. Muslims cannot see. You are full of ideas. You continuously see what you want to see, constantly projecting and interpreting, creating your own private reality of what is not there. This leads to a kind of unhealthiness. Among 100 sages you encounter, 99 are not truly well. Meditation brings complete health to the world, utterly wholesome. It casts aside all ideologies. It declares, it is emptiness. Look without any ideas. Gaze into the essence of all things without preconceived notions, biases, or assumptions. Not being preoccupied, that is one of its fundamental principles. Thus, theology must be abandoned until you are no longer distracted. Can you see the problem? If you have ideas, you will likely find them reflected in reality, because the mind is exceedingly creative. Of course, that creativity exists only in the realm of imagination. If you search for Christ, you may begin to see apparitions of Christ, but they will be purely imaginative. If you search for Krishna, you will start to see Krishna, but again, all will be figments of your imagination. Meditation is very practical. It instructs you to set aside imagination. Imagination originates from your past. Since childhood, you have been conditioned by certain ideas. From early on, you were taken to churches, temples, and mosques. You were forced to listen to sermons. Everything was imposed upon your mind. Burdened by all these ideas, you will never truly know what reality is. Unburden yourself. Unburdening is what meditation is all about. Consider a scenario. An evangelical pastor is leading a religious service in a lunatic asylum for the insane. Suddenly, his sermon is interrupted by a prisoner who shouts wildly, "I say, we've heard this nonsense before." The pastor, surprised and confused, turns to his attendant and asks, "Should I stop speaking?" The attendant replies, No, please continue. It won't happen again, at least not for 7 years. That person only experiences one healthy moment every 7 years. Truly, it is very difficult to be healthy in an unhealthy world. Meditation is simple and yet challenging. It is as simple as it is fundamental, because it arises naturally. But it is difficult because your mind has been conditioned by the unhealthy world we live in, by the influences you were nurtured with since childhood, by what has been distorted in you. Beyond ideologies and into the heart of life. Second, meditation is not philosophy, it is poetry. It does not propose, it simply persuades. It does not argue, it simply sings its own song. It reaches the very core of aesthetics, not asceticism. It does not believe in being arrogant or aggressive toward reality. It believes in love. It holds that if we participate with reality, then reality will reveal its secrets to us. It creates a consciousness of participation. It is pure poetry, and it is also pure religion. Meditation cares deeply about beauty, not about mere truth. Why? Because truth, when reduced to symbols, becomes dry. Not only is truth itself barren, but those who obsess over truth also grow barren. They begin to wither, their hearts contract, their vital fluids cease to flow, they become loveless, violent, and gradually their entire being becomes overly preoccupied. The seeker of meditation turns inward to discover beauty, in the song of birds, in the sway of trees, in the dance of peacocks, in the clouds, in the lightning, in the sea, in the sand. It earnestly seeks beauty. Naturally, the act of seeking beauty transforms everything. When you seek truth, you become more masculine. When you seek beauty, you embrace a more feminine quality. Seeking truth engages reason. Seeking beauty requires constant reliance on intuition. Meditation carries a feminine quality. Poetry carries the feminine. In contrast, philosophy is highly masculine and aggressive. That is, the nature of the masculine mind. Meditation is inherently passive. That is why sitting is one of its most important practices. Just sit. Enter into meditation. Masters say that if you simply sit, doing nothing, everything will unfold on its own. You need not chase or search for it. It will come. All you must do is sit. If you can sit in silence, if you can drop into a state of profound rest, if you can let go of all tension and become a pool of silent energy, unmoving and unsearching, then the divine will begin to pour into you. From every direction, the divine will rush to you. Simply sit. Do nothing else. When you sit, without even reciting a mantra, if your mind is quiet enough to simply let go, then life, like spring, will come and the grass will grow by itself. And remember, when meditation says, just sit, it means merely to sit, nothing more. If you're silently repeating a mantra, you're not just sitting. You are caught in trivial mental activity. If you do nothing, if thoughts come and go, that is fine. You need not worry about them. This is the essence of meditation. Meditation is a feminine approach, and at its core, religion is feminine. Science is masculine. Philosophy is masculine, while religion, true religion, is feminine. Everything in the world, poetry, painting, dance, originates in the feminine mind. Perhaps this has not yet fully emerged from women because they have not been free to create. Their day is coming. When meditation takes deeper root in the world, the feminine mind will burst forth powerfully. Everything will harmonize. In the past, the world was dominated by the masculine, hence the emergence of Islam, Christianity, and Hinduism. In the future, things will become more feminine, gentler, more receptive, more unhurried, more aesthetic, more poetic. Philosophy is logic. Poetry is love. Philosophy dissects and analyzes. Poetry synthesizes, uniting everything. Philosophy by nature is destructive. Poetry brings life. Analysis is the method of philosophy and of science and psychoanalysis. Sooner or later, psychoanalysis too will have to be replaced by a more profound synthesis of the mind. Assagioli is more apt than Sigmund Freud because his synthesis approaches the truth more directly. The world is one. It is a unified whole. Nothing is separate. Everything beats as one. We are interconnected, a vast network. Even the smallest blade of grass around a Confucian temple is linked to the farthest star. If something happens to that leaf, something will happen to the farthest star. Everything exists together as one family. Meditation instructs us. Do not dissect. Do not analyze. A farmer, once a witness in a Vermont train accident lawsuit, was asked to recount the events in his own words. Well, Jake and I were walking along the tracks when I heard a whistle. I stepped off the track. The train passed by. I returned to the tracks and I didn't see Jake. But as I walked along, suddenly I saw Jake's hat, then one of his legs, then one of his arms, then his other leg, and on one side, his head. And I thought, good heavens, something must have happened to Jake. That is what happened to humanity. People have been torn into pieces. Now there are specialists, someone to tend to the eyes, someone for the heart, someone for the head, someone for every other part. Humanity has been fragmented. Meditation tells us that human beings are a complete organism. In modern science, a new concept is emerging. They call it androgyny. Buckminster Fuller defined androgyny as the characteristic of an entire system, an organ. An organ is not merely the sum of its parts. It has a vital force, something more than the simple total of its components. When these parts are unified and function in proper order, a vital spark emerges, that ticking sound. If you dismantle everything, that ticking disappears. But when you reassemble the parts in order, the ticking returns. That ticking is something very new. No single part can claim responsibility for it. It belongs only to the whole. That ticking is the soul. If you remove my hand, my leg, my heart, the ticking vanishes. The ticking is the soul, but it only exists when the parts are unified. God is the ticking of all existence. You cannot reveal God by dissecting things. God can only be found through the poetic vision of unity. God is the experience of accumulated energy. Science will never be able to uncover it. Philosophy will never reach it. Only a poetic, deeply receptive, and gentle approach can. When you become one with existence, when you are no longer separated as a seeker, no longer isolated as an observer, when you are completely absorbed in it, then that ticking emerges. Third, meditation is not science. It is the miraculous art of the adept, the way to behold life. Science belongs to the intellect. It is an effort to dissect the mystery of life. It kills the sense of wonder. It opposes the miraculous. In contrast, meditation celebrates the miraculous for its mystery, for its awe-inspiring nature. The mystery of life cannot be explained, for it cannot be explained. It must be lived. One must enter into it, love it. The greatest joy lies in the fact that life is miraculous. It must be revealed. Meditation is the miracle. It gives you the key to unlock the wonder that lies within you, and that key is also within you. When you approach a meditation master, he simply helps you fall silent so that you can discover your own key, the key you carry along your path, so that you may find your own door, the door that is there, and enter the innermost sanctuary of your being. And finally, meditation is not ethics. It is aesthetics. It does not impose a code of moral laws, nor does it give you any commandments. Do this, do not do that. It simply heightens your sensitivity to beauty, and that sensitivity becomes your morality. Yet that, too, comes from within, from the very core of your consciousness. Meditation does not hand you a conscience in the conventional sense. Instead, it gives you more awareness, and that heightened awareness becomes your conscience. Thus, it is not Moses who gives you commandments, nor do they come from the Bible, the Quran, or the Vedas. They come from deep within you. And when they come from that source, there is no slavery. They are freedom. When they come from within, you do not treat them as an obligation or with hesitation. You revel in them. They become your love. The sacred art of non-possession, embracing the ever-unfolding now. These are the foundations, and now comes the profound prayer. Like an empty, borderless sky, yet it is right here, always profound and pure. Replace it with God, and you will immediately understand. But meditators do not use the word God. They simply say it. Like an empty, borderless sky, yet it is always profound and pure. If you begin to search for the sky, you will never find it. If you begin to search in a too formal manner, you will never find the sky. Where will you find the sky? The sky is not somewhere. It is everywhere, And that which is everywhere cannot be found in any one place. You cannot pinpoint it. You cannot say it is in the north, in the south, or over there, because it is everywhere. That which is everywhere cannot be found in one place. And where will you search? You will rush into the interior of the sky itself, and it is entirely the sky. God is like the sky, like the empty sky. It has no boundaries and therefore cannot be defined. You cannot say where it begins and where it ends. It is eternal, infinite, yet it is right here, right before you. If you are at ease, it is there. If you are tense, it disappears. A Zen master once said, "It is so clear and therefore hard to see. The fool searches for fire with a lit lamp. If that person knew what fire was, they would have cooked much earlier." Now, with the lamp lit, you are searching for fire while always carrying fire in your hand. Yes, that Zen master is right. If that person knew what fire was, they would have cooked much earlier. You can always cook sooner. And you are hungry, and you have been hungry for centuries, for eternity. And you have been searching for fire with a lit lamp in hand. People continuously ask, "Where is God?" And He is right before your eyes. He surrounds you. He is within and without, for only He exists. But meditators call it, so that you are not trapped by the word God. When you search to know it, you cannot see it. Why? Because when you want to know it, your desire becomes a state of tension. You become narrow, overly focused. When you search to know it, you cannot see it. You miss it, because it can only be seen when you are completely at ease, open from all sides, not focused. Just listen to it. Typically, those who do not understand meditation write that meditation is concentration. There are thousands of books that say so, but that is completely foolish because meditation is not concentration. In fact, concentration is its exact opposite. In concentration, you are tense, convergent, searching for something. Concentration is good if you are looking for tiny things, like an ant, but not for God. God is vast, exceedingly vast. If you look with concentration, you will see an ant, not God. With God, you must be completely open, not focused, open from all sides, not searching, not looking. And the mind must not converge. That is what meditation is, a non-convergent mind. You only light a small lamp. The light does not converge. It radiates in all directions. It goes nowhere. It simply spreads in every direction. Every direction is filled with that light. Then comes a torch, like concentration. It converges. When you want to look at God, a torch will not help. Only a lamp is effective. If you are searching for an ant, then concentration is good. If searching for a mouse, likewise, a torch will be effective. For small objects, the mind needs convergence. In science, concentration is absolutely necessary. Science cannot exist without concentration. It seeks the small, then the smaller, then the smallest, seeking molecules, then atoms, electrons, neutrons. It continually searches for the even smaller. Therefore, science becomes more and more focused and convergent. Religion, on the other hand, is the opposite, non-convergent, open in all directions like every breeze. All doors and windows are open, walls removed. You are simply an open path. When you search to know it, you cannot see it. Because of that, the effort to search, the desire to see it, becomes a barrier. Do not search for God. Do not search for truth. Instead, create a state of non-convergence so that God can come to you. It is there. There is a very famous anecdote about one of the rarest women in the world, Rabia. A Sufi mystic once stayed with Rabia. His name was Husan. He had heard the words of Jesus Christ. Knock, and it will be open to you. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find it. Therefore, every day, in the morning, at noon, in the evening, and at night, 5 times a day as in Islam. He said to God, "I am knocking, sir, and I knock so much. Why has it not been opened until now? I am banging my head against your door, sir. Open it for me." Rabia heard this on the first day, the second day, the third day, and then she said, "Husan, when will you see? The door is open. You keep saying, 'I am knocking, I am knocking,' and the door is always open. Look, but you are too preoccupied with knocking, demanding, desiring, and searching, so you cannot see it. The door has always been open." Rabia was far more accurate than Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ's words are only basic. They are good for those who have not yet begun to search, for beginners, those who have not begun to search. For them, it is necessary to say, "Seek, ask, knock," with the assurance that if you knock, it will be open to you. Ask, and it will be given to you. Meanwhile, Rabia's statement is pure meditation. She said, "Look, you fool, the door is open and it is always open. Only by demanding, only by yelling are you closing your eyes. The only thing required is to open your eyes. The door is always open." God is always available, unconditionally available. When you search to know it, you cannot see it, you cannot grasp it, yet you cannot lose it. Do you see the beauty of this statement? You cannot grasp it. If you want to possess God, you will not be able to. God cannot be possessed. Everything magnificent cannot be possessed, and that is one of the most foolish things people continuously do. We want to possess. When loving, you want to possess, but in possessing, you destroy love. Love is the quality of God. Jesus said it exactly. Love is God. If you truly want to dwell in love, do not try to possess it, for in possessing, you kill it, poison it. You are small and love is vast. How can you possibly possess it? You might be possessed by it, but you cannot possess it. The small cannot possess the greater. It is simple yet very difficult. When we love someone, we want to possess the love, to possess the beloved, to possess the lover, to become superior out of fear that someone might take it away. But before anyone takes it away, it is already lost. It is no longer there. The very moment you think about possession, you have killed it. And then only the corpse remains. The life disappears. Life cannot be possessed because life is God. Existence cannot be possessed because existence is God. You see a beautiful flower, a rose, on a bush, and immediately you pluck it. You want to possess it, but in doing so, you have killed it. Then you pin it to your lapel. It becomes a dead flower, a corpse, no longer beautiful. How can something dead be beautiful? It is only a memory, and it is fading. It once was vibrant on the bush, once beautiful, youthful, and happy, with its dance and its song around it. But you have killed it all. Now, you carry only the dead flower in your lapel. At ease, the paradox of possession and enlightenment. And this is what we do with everything, whether it is beauty, love, or God. We want to possess it. But we cannot hold on to it, nor can we make it disappear. In other words, you cannot own it, yet there is no way to lose it. It is there, always there. If you simply remain silent, you will feel it. You must attune yourself to it, become silent to listen to it, so that the dance of God can penetrate, resonate, and beat vibrantly within you. You must give up pushing, hurrying, the desire to go somewhere, to attain, to become this or that. You must cease the act of becoming, and it is there. You cannot make it disappear. In the inability to own it, He has it. In the inability to own it, He has it. The moment you understand that you cannot possess it and let go of the desire to own, it is there, and you have it. The moment you understand that love cannot be possessed, a great understanding arises within you, and now you have it forever. You cannot exhaust it, but you will have it only when you understand that it cannot be possessed, that there is no way to have it. This is the paradox of meditation. Meditation is the path of paradox. It says that if you want to possess God, do not possess Him, and you will possess Him. If you want to possess love, do not possess. It is there and will always be yours. You cannot lose it. You cannot squander it. When He is silent, He speaks. When He speaks, He is silent. You cannot speak anymore. Martin Buber popularized the word dialogue in the West. It is a great enlightenment, yet it has not reached the heights of meditation. Martin Buber says that prayer is dialogue. In dialogue, you speak to God, and God speaks to you. Dialogue requires two people. It is the I-thou relationship. But meditation says that this is impossible. If you speak, God is silent. When you speak and create noise in your mind, He disappears, because His voice is silence, small, quiet, to the extent that it can only be heard when you are completely silent. That is not dialogue, but passive listening. Either you speak and God is not there, or God speaks and you are not there. If you vanish, disappear, then you hear Him. He is speaking from everywhere, from the chirping of birds, the murmur of a stream, the whisper of wind through pine trees. But you are not silent. When He is silent, He speaks. When He speaks, He is silent. The great gate is wide open for generosity, and no crowd blocks the way. There is no competition, no one blocking your path, no one competing. You need not rush, need not strive to snatch. No one competes with you, and no one stands before you. Only God, only God. You may be at ease. You need not fear that you might miss it. You cannot lose it by the very nature of everything. Just be at ease. All these words are only to help you be at ease. God cannot be lost. Be at ease. No one blocks the way. At ease. There is no need to hurry because God does not exist in time. At ease. There is nowhere to go because God is not distant in any star. At ease. You cannot lose it by the very nature of everything. Just be at ease. The entire message of these paradoxical words is only at ease. Not searching, not seeking, not asking, not knocking, not demanding. Just be at ease. If you are at ease, it comes. If you are at ease, it is there. If you are at ease, you begin to resonate with it. That is what meditation calls enlightenment, satori, the complete ease of your being, the state of mind in which nothing else exists, when you are no longer the achiever, when you are not going anywhere, when there is no purpose, when all purposes vanish and all determinations are left behind. When you simply exist, in that moment you vanish into wholeness, and a new tick-tock arises, never before experienced. That tick-tock is called enlightenment, satori, great enlightenment, samadhi, realization. It can occur in any situation, whenever you are in tune with the whole. One last thing, meditation is not formal. Meditation has an incredibly humorous consciousness. No other religion has evolved to possess such a humorous consciousness. Meditation has laughter within it. Meditation is a celebration. The spirit of meditation is the spirit of revelry. Other religions are too formal, as if reaching God is a grand enterprise, as if someone will take God away from them, as if God is deliberately hiding, creating intentional barriers, as if there is fierce competition and God is not enough for everyone, as if God is money and there is not enough for everyone. If you do not snatch it immediately, someone else will. Those are the very formal ones, those who follow money, those who pursue goals, but are not truly religious. How great God is, how enormous, how immense. He is the totality of existence. Who can exhaust Him? You need not fear that someone will possess him before you and then you will lose him forever. There is no struggle, no competition, and there is eternal time available. Do not hurry, do not be formal. Seriousness is not true religion. They only say that they do not understand him, because if they understood, they would laugh with joy. Laughter is the unique quality of meditation, and because of laughter, I say that it is the highest religion thus far. It does not make your life worse, does not render you inferior. It makes you dance. It makes you enjoy life. A story of wax figures and Zen. A young boy was taken for the first time to see the famous wax figure exhibit of Madame Tussauds in London. He was naturally disappointed by the whole affair. His mother tried to enlighten him. "You see, my dear, all these men and women were famous people who lived long ago. Now, they are all dead." The boy's sadness deepened and he murmured, "So, this is heaven? That is very dangerous. If you go to the Christian heaven, you will live in something like that." Think of the dreadful nightmare of living with Christian saints. When someone asked a Zen master why there were not many saints on earth, he laughed and said, "They are comfortable in heaven because it is so difficult to live with them. We are fortunate that they do not live on earth. Let them stay in heaven." That is a good thing. Just imagine living with saints. You would start to commit suicide. Zen brings laughter and a fresh breeze to religion. Zen creates religious humor. It is an entirely different approach, healthier, more natural. These are the foundations. I can tell you very quickly. Listen to this story. Pop. Gabardine, the coach of the Midwestern football team, felt responsible for 8 Saturday evenings of standing in line, finally ending with the score lost 5-0. When the team gathered the following Monday, Pop bitterly said, "For the final game of the season, we can forget all the tricks I tried to teach you. You are fools. We will go back to the basics." How? Lesson number 1. The object I'm holding is known as the football. Lesson number 2. At that point, Coach Gabardine was interrupted by a worried defender in the front row who pleaded, "Hey, Pop, don't go so fast." I spoke too quickly, but I hope you here are not fools. I believe in your intelligence.